Hey, so like I said, I gave you those questions because I mean I've been trying to do something like that, but the way y'all did it was like what I was imagining this whole time, you know? It's pretty cool. So just kind of to start off with, how was that? How was something like that pitched?
Well, I'm not going to take credit for the pitch. I mean, I'm going to give all the credit to Fox and Fox Alternative Entertainment for coming up with the concept.
Right.
My relationship with Fox has been that we also design the visuals for Masked Singer, and we've been using augmented reality
Okay.
for the past three seasons. And I'm also friends with everybody uh, from Fox. So we're like, look, what? How does can this work? Basically, can we do a singing avatar show? And this was back in February, and
Of this year.
this year,
Okay.
so none of this stuff existed. And I'm like, no, there's not really like because you have to understand the success, you know, an avatar singing on a stage is not novel. It's been done a million times, but it takes 3 months to do like one performance and they previs the hell out of it. Then they get there on site, nothing works, and they're like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like that's like where the tech,
Yeah.
was back in February. So to make a successful singing avatar show for a network who also a production company that likes to make changes and tweaks and
The
on the
usual.
spot the usual you have to give them, you have to be able to rehearse 10 performances every day and then the next day tape five, and honestly you're getting the same notes that they would give the lighting department. I don't like the blue, make it red, and the lighting guy hits the blue button or the red button.
Right.
From a screen background, things like the visuals that we design for shows, like we get notes and vocabulary that the networks are used to. So that's what makes a successful avatar show is actually doing it the same way you do any other series competition show. So we spent a good 5 months developing like everything so that you can challenge ourselves creatively on stage and not have the system like fall over. And
I like how you used the word challenge yourselves.
yeah,
You mean
well,
frustrate yourself?
yeah. Well, it is because the cool thing about this tech is that so we taped 11 episodes. And the cool thing about it is that every episode got better. Like the first episode was rough, which actually aired basically as I think it was on a Thursday, the second episode. We made that the first. But it every single time we taped it, it got better and better and better and better. We worked out, there's bugs, so we worked out the bugs as we went along. And by the time we hit the finale, we're like, oh my God, let's just do another season now because it's like ready to go. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of be in the trenches. You have to also have a network and a production company that literally lets you fail and is okay with that and
Right,
plays
right, right.
in the sandbox. It wasn't approached as let's do the show, it's all ready. We're like, we'd be lucky if it does work. So I mean, we'd be
And
lucky if one avatar working.
and that's just what people and again, I'm just looking at my questions here because I just want to make sure I get everything. That's what really people didn't understand about the show is they thought like that's been done before, but the reality of it is it's the real time.
Yes, it's the
That
real
is
time, and we had 25 people. I hired. I should probably go back a little bit and give you some
yeah,
context
yeah, yeah. Please.
timeline. So we're back in February. Came up with this concept. Is it ready? And I kind of like, and I think the network too was the same way. Yeah, let's make it ready. But how long do we have to wait? Should we wait till next year, the following year? At what point is it ready? And I kind of always like use this analogy. It's like if you're like the Pixar and you had a script about this amazing animation film, but you just waiting for hair to like render perfectly, and you keep it on your desk, and then you say to yourself, you know what, hair looks really good. We got to do it. At some point, we just got to take the plunge and do it. And I think that's kind of like what we were. We're like, yeah, the tech is going to get better every 6 months. So
Yes.
obviously, the second season of Alter Ego is going to look inherently better than season one. And that's
Yes.
going to be like that every single year because the technology gets better and better and better. So we did. We took the plunge. We took the leap. And my company that I have is called Lulu AR. It's an augmented reality company. And so we did all the augmented reality for it. I was also an executive producer on the show. And then we don't have any background in motion capture or building avatars. We have, a content house that does screen visuals, but not to the level. And I worked with a company called Silver Spoon Animation, who we hired for The Masked Singer. So if you remember, The Masked Singer for a couple of seasons had that virtual 3D audience that replaced it because of COVID.
Right.
They're the ones that did that. So I had a relationship with them. I knew they did motion capture. I knew they made avatars. I called up Dan Pack and I'm like, motion capture, avatars, singing competition. You want to do it with me? He's like, hell yeah, let's do it. So we basically, yeah, I would say in March, April, May, June, got the tech, tested, vetted, working. And then we basically in July loaded in a big polished set and a ton, 1,000 moving lights, and we taped the entire thing in 3 weeks, 65 performances. And then they're like
65.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And you have to treat 65 performances as no different than doing Dancing with the Stars performances or The Voice. These are big performances. They have background singers. They have their own creatives. All of that. So all of that has to work for a competition show. It has to. We can't make the show work for us and change their entire vocabulary around for our show. We have to align with them. So I've done so many series and so much television already. I know exactly what we need to do. So I started with that. And then the 4 months of just getting the kit and the tech worked out, there's also a learning process. We have a great director, Sam Wrench, who directed the show, who actually did an Avatar performance for League of Legends. I think it was a year before. So he had experience with augmented reality and avatars. And we basically spent 4 months also figuring out how do you make sure that the people who watch the show care about the avatar and forget that it's actually an avatar, it's an actual performer on stage. So my background is actually theatrical lighting design. So I leveraged that on another layer of like emotion for an avatar. Because normally on a TV show, the talent gets lit, 22 degrees from a follow spot and a backlight that's white, that's 45 degrees. And that's typically how it is. And you've got like lights flashing and strobing to create excitement. Well, we did that. We tried that. We had a studio that we rented for 6 months to basically not only just do the tech, but also understand, creative vocabulary. And lighting was a big one. And from a dance background, we started lighting them as if you're like lighting them from the side with color. And you added another layer of emotion just by lighting them like you would do dance. So that, was a great relief because of the fact that that was a home run. Like that right there instantly from our test footage, and I'll send you some, that instantly was like, okay, this totally works. When you see the test footage that came out, it was like, it's incredible. And, so syncing then now you've got the virtual lighting, all programmed on DMX. Then you've got now the real lighting that has to get programmed. So when you have a red light that pops on with fog, the avatar also has to pop red as well. They start strobing and all that. So then that integration. And then of course there's a delay between the real lights and the virtual lights. So we had to build these little boxes that take basically ArtNet in, delays it, and then spits it back out. So that everything, when you're pushing the buttons and the lighting designer who's doing the actual show lighting is programming the avatar with the actual real lights, it's all transparent that the timing is always the same.
That's insane.
Yeah, so that was a challenge. Then, we used Pixotope. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's basically it's a pipeline for virtual production. So and we used that, and that allowed us to do cool stuff like having the floor reflection, the shadow on the floor, all of that. So that was all kind of already done. In fact, honestly, 80% of the actual kit, the technology of what's on Alter Ego, came from The Masked Singer, because we actually did this whole process. On Masked Singer, we had 8 engines, 8 cameras. Sorry, on Masked Singer, we had 5 engines, 5 track cameras. On Alter Ego, we had 8. So we didn't really scale it up that much. The big one that changed, obviously, was the motion capture and the live motion capture.
Yeah. And
also figuring out the best way to do facial motion capture, and then obviously tie that with 2 people. You have a singer that's in a vocal booth, and then you have a dancer that's in the motion capture volume backstage. So having them all play together and talk together, and how many avatars can you get on the stage at once? You know what I mean? I'm like, let's hope for one. You know, we had four, which is pretty choppy, but you know,
Yeah.
it got better and better. So,
Right.
yeah, it's a blur from February on, but the success of it really is that I was watching some performances and you're like, oh my god, I totally bought into it. I totally forgot about the tech. So if you can do that and have people believe in it, and I think that's where we succeeded. And I think and I think the 80% of that also has to do with the lighting.
Right.
Because if the lighting does not look real or
Yeah.
something's off, we're all lighting designers by nature. We just might not know it. But
Yeah.
it's like you got 1,000 lights flashing and the avatar is just solid white. It's like, oh, you've now lost everybody. They're so disconnected right now. So I
Right.
think that to me is probably one of my most proudest things that we've done with the lighting and compositing. And then certainly the avatars are all controlled through DMX as well. So we had another console that Patrick Boozer programmed, and basically he's programming the avatars as no different than you're programming screens or moving lights, all of that.
What do you mean programming the avatar? Like in what sense? Like are there movements or what do you mean that?
Yeah, so obviously all the movement came from
Mocap.
motion capture, but in
Right.
terms of like these special effects, when the fairy starts spitting out pixie dust, all of
Oh.
that on the console. We had, we can change the color of the eyes, the lips. We can make them, if you see them cry, the avatars,
Yeah.
this literally is a button that Patrick has, and they start crying, and they can all blush.
Yeah.
So all of that is basically programmed, and then we have cue lists. There's 4 wardrobes for each alter ego.
Yeah.
So all of that is programmed in the same way we program moving lights, the same way we program screen content. We do it now with the avatars because
That's
that is
crazy.
something that people understand.
Yeah.
It's too fast the timing. Move it back 5 seconds or whatever. Like that is a vocabulary that we all understand, which is lighting and screens. So
Right.
that's where that came from.
That's been around since the theater days. Like that's not new. So, I mean, like the beginning of this year, around February, March, there were so many studios gunning for this, right? With the whole live real time. I think there's gonna be a lot more coming out, but I think as far as US, I think y'all came out first, right? Officially.
There is no competition. As far as I know right now, we are worldwide that's done in actual, 11 episodes.
Right.
A competition reality show. I do know that there are dozens of shows right now that they're interested or in process. I know there's 2 in the process of doing it. I don't know where they're at with that.
Yep.
I think we also wanted to be the first as well.
Yeah.
Which is actually it's a good and bad thing because you could say, yeah, we were first. The bad thing is that because the technology gets better and better and better, so if a show is going to come up in 6 months or a year from now, well, obviously, that's going to look better than what we did, and then our next episode will look better than theirs. But that's
right.
But also the challenge of being first for something that's never been done before to this level of, in 3 weeks do 65 performances and don't really do too much overtime. Would be you can't call anybody. You can't say, hey, how did you do your avatar show? Because we're going to do one next week, or we're in the middle of one, or this is not working out. We couldn't call anybody. We weren't making up things as we went along. We didn't do that. We had a plan. You know what I mean? Everybody that was on my team, everybody's obviously on the Fox team and on the studio side, and the production side. We're all pros. We do 20 shows a year, and we know how to get
right.
But obviously, the motion capture,
there's a technical.
There's a huge technical part of it that's let's plan for this, and then we can always punt and mold it to this. And we did that a little bit. And you have to do that actually.
Yeah.
It would be a failure if you could not do that.
Yeah. That's that show in so many ways opened up the gates. And I know you're saying like, okay, yes, in 3 weeks somebody's gonna come out with something better. But to me, when I saw that, I compared it to like when Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg saw the first CG dinosaurs. Yeah. I mean, obviously we can make CG dinosaurs now in like 2 minutes, but the importance of it is the technology, right? Y'all did it first. I know a lot will follow, but at the same time, I'm like, we're here. Like Ready Player One, I don't know if you've seen a movie, like this is like we're here. This is happening now. Yeah. And it was crazy to me because whenever this Unreal Engine came out, and the whole MetaHuman motion capture stuff coming out, I started testing, like CG comedians, CG performers, and all those stuff. Because to me, entertainment, I feel like I like sci-fi so much. I feel like in the future, well, not in the future anymore, because y'all just proved that, right? I think we're gonna go towards more of that, like
Yeah.
virtual reality things, and it was cool to see it on national TV. And I'll be honest to you, I haven't seen a TV show for a while, but when I saw the trailer for that, I was like, I gotta see this thing. It was bananas, and this whole time I was just trying to figure out how y'all did things. So I got a couple of questions. So the whole seeing, like, the audience, right? What were they seeing? Um,
So yeah, so the stage basically is it's almost like a wide runway show. So the audience is left and right, and the judges are downstage center looking at the stage. If you notice on some of the cross shots, you'll see two large LED screens that are above the audience, left and right. So the audience basically that's sitting on this side can see the big LED screen from the opposite side and vice versa, which helps in two ways. One is they get to see the performance, and the other one is it kind of helps their eye line look at the stage.
yeah,
Because obviously live, there's no one on the stage except for background dancers,
yeah,
which is a trip because when we have the Steadicam on stage shooting the avatar, like they're shooting at absolutely nothing. It's hysterical. So if you're an audience member, it's like this is a mind fuck because you're like, this is so cool. Because what's really interesting about it is that the audience saw the whole performance on these two large monitors.
yes,
So everything was composite, nothing was done in post, nothing was inserted thereafter. Literally, the judges and the audience and the host saw everything on these large monitors around the studio, on the avatar, on the stage, lit up, singing, shadow on the floor, reflection, the whole thing, multicam, shooting a show, no different. Obviously,
so for the judges, you said they had a screen in front of them, like
you
up
have three
above.
screens. You can see them looking down sometimes.
Okay.
So in front of them, there's if this is the stage, if you're looking at a side view, if this is the stage, it kind of comes down here. The judges are here. There's three monitors there.
Oh, okay, okay.
So basically, they're getting the camera feed of the stage
Right.
with the composite avatar. So they're seeing a line cut, no different than the audience as well seeing.
Yeah, that's giving me goosebumps. That is like, that is that's crazy.
Oh, that's
You
the
know?
thing. If you can't do that live, like then how do you make the audience care and
Yeah,
how the judge is gonna judge? Like that would be you'd have to like that would be it would be a complete failure. Like you
yeah,
cannot expect four judges to say, just imagine, there's going to be this person that looks like this singing, and you can just hear their voice. Like no one's going to
yeah.
fight
And
that.
you
And then
know,
the
and
audience too.
reading some of the comments, and I was curious about that as well, because I was like, how are they doing this? Are they actually looking at him performing, or are they just pretending? Because it was so seamless, man. Like,
Yeah, no, they
it,
saw it. There's no pretending.
the,
That was the cool thing about it.
so I think the problem people are running into is that they don't think it was possible to do all that live. You
No,
know?
that was a huge, and that's a huge issue, especially for someone if you don't really understand the tech.
Yeah, exactly,
Production,
exactly.
and I saw some reviews and I've seen some comments about it's all fake, it's all and I'm like, well, it was not. Like, trust me,
Yeah,
this technology does exist, and we did it, and it is 100%. I can tell you right now, there was no compositing after. We can't do. See, here's the thing. There's still a budget on a TV show, and granted,
yeah,
the budget on this show is probably higher than most budgets that we typically do.
right.
However, you cannot have $100 million budget to stick an avatar in the middle of the stage after the fact. Like, no one's gonna like. That's not a successful show.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So you have to have the editors edit the show the way they normally edit the show. You know what I mean? Like, it literally is. You have to do it live. And by the way, I would love if we could have like composited thereafter, because you get all the glitches out and all the imperfections of what live is. You wouldn't have. But you bring up a good point, though. It was very important to me that if there were glitches or faults in it, I didn't really quite mind it too much because it kind of grounded the show, saying, you know what, they must have done it live because no one. Why would they do it in post and have a glitch or whatever? Like,
yeah,
so I was always worried about. That was one of my fears of it when I started looking at it. I was like, this looks really great. I hope people believe it's live because obviously we don't want them to think that we're
you're trying to trick people.
trick people to liking our show, whatever. That's
Yeah.
not. So
Yeah, and that's the thing too is yeah, it's just people don't think it's possible, and really it's the denial part of it because there's always that movie magic type of deal.
yeah,
Like there's no way that can't. That's they probably just rendered that in post, but
yeah.
to me that's what I was curious about. I was like, are we really there? Like this is really happening?
You're there with all the glitches and stutters
Yeah.
and all the imperfections of what
To be
live.
honest, it didn't
Uh,
really take me out as much.
yeah.
It
I mean,
really didn't.
I'll say this: the one thing is I have to give credit to Lulu AR and to Silver Spoon. It got better every episode. So by the time
Really.
we hit like episode 5, we're kind of like, this is amazing. And then by the time we hit, I would say like episode 9, it's like this can't get any better. And by the time we hit the finale, it's like, oh my god, we got so much better. So it's like every single time, because you have to do it.
Yeah.
You can pre not necessarily program because we didn't do that, but you could test and test. We did a lot of testing. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The worst thing that can happen on a show like this is the kid falling over and telling the audience to go home. That
Yeah.
would be a disaster. So
Right.
all the testing, you can only do so much until you actually get on the stage. That's costing you a ton of money because it's done at TV City.
Yeah.
Union crew. You got to get everything, all your T's crossed and I's dotted. So, yeah, the first episode on any new show is going to be rough, regardless if there's tech or not. And then by the time you hit the finale, you're a pro. And by the time you hit season 2, you're like, how do you make it cheaper and better? Like that's where we're at. And how do you make ourselves even more? And that's kind of like where we left it. And we're talking obviously about season 2, and season 2 is going to look inherently a lot better, and we're going to do a lot more with it.
So you've done a lot of shows before, but was this one different and a lot scarier because it's really the very first time it's ever been done? Like, did you have that fear? Like, oh my god, this is not gonna work.
I didn't know. I was optimistic that we can get it working. And then I had a good the success also of me being optimistic was also Fox being engaged and optimistic and very thrilled with that we're doing it, and they were very supportive. So what's interesting is when you talk, was I scared about something? I would say when we're taping the show, I'm like, oh, I hope it I hope this, because the thing is, like with augmented reality, which is what our company does, it's like, okay, like I'll use Masked Singer as an example. If the augmented system falls over, all right, so what? We still have lights, we still have talent, we still have a set, we still have cameras, we still have an audience, and no one's gonna know the words. Like, you know what I mean? They're not gonna like, all right, fine, the virtual trees are not gonna be there.
Yeah.
I mean, and by the way, just for the record, we never had that happen where things fell over. Like, but on our show, it is the entire show. Like, and so if something happens, then you can't tape the show, and even all the imperfections that we had, in the beginning of shooting shows, we don't have the luxury of like, it's a competition show. So we don't have the luxury of like, all right, cut, and let's go restart because the avatar started shitting out. Like, you don't have that. You just have to go with it.
Yeah.
All right, why did that happen? Okay, let's go ahead and let's push this button next, and maybe that'll fix it. It was like, so yeah. I remember back in July of last year, I did a green screen virtual set show, and that thing never worked, and it was the biggest nightmare of my life. And that's another example of like, you're leveraging the tech, but if something happens, you're like, oh god, I hope you have to go to the producer and say, I hope you like green as your set, because like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, I remember every single day I was like, oh my god, I hope this thing works. But I wasn't like, but I wasn't like that for Alter Ego. Like, we had a great team between Silver Spoon and Lulu that there was no reason for this thing to not work.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's always room for improvement. But that's never had a doubt that that this would not work.
I mean, Silver killed it with those characters, and I read somewhere that the contestant actually had a say in some form of the creation and how they looked.
Yeah, they did. Our speed dial show obviously could not have it where ideally what you would do is you would all want to have the talent basically design the entire avatar.
Yeah.
It because we wanted to be the first in this and get this thing going.
Yeah.
We have the avatars, they take time to build. So what we did is we allowed them to obviously name them, and then also change, and then certainly change some of the things. So there's something about the costume, something about the hair, or like whatever. Like there are things that to say that they had no say in it is not true. They had a say in the avatar. And by the way, when you look at the avatars versus them, so their alter ego, it is a representation really of who they are too. Like it's a natural thing. You can just tell.
Yeah.
Chemistry between the two are there.
Right.
Ideally, of course, to make, again, if we are doing it again, we obviously would want that a lot earlier, but again, successful show is being on time too. So
and to be honest, when you talk about February this year, I think that's pretty fast.
It's
insanely quick. That's impressive, man. Like that's insane. And it's just the tech part of it is just that's insane. And you said it was done in 3 weeks total.
3 weeks to tape 60. Well, we did 11 episodes in 3 weeks. So we loaded in for a week and a half, 2 weeks. So that's basically all let's just, like what you do during a load in would be loading the set, the rigging, pressing the lights, the sound system, all the cameras. And then that's a typical show. And then now you add to the motion capture volume and all the augmented reality. So then you're now doing all the camera tracking that's in the studio. Then you've got the motion capture system that's upstage center. So if you look at the top view of the stage, what you see basically is 2/3 of the stage. That is, or the studio, I should say. That's the actual where the audience is. That's where the show's taped. The judges, the cameras, all that. 1/3 of the size of the stage is behind the big LED wall that opens up.
Yeah.
Behind there is where there's a motion capture volumes, an optical motion capture system.
Yeah. Vicon, right?
Vicon.
Okay.
That's almost the same size as the one that we have on stage. That's now that's basically behind the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the augmented reality area, which is for all the camera tracking, compositing, all of that. And that was like 35 people. It takes, the avatars come with an entourage. Let's just put it that way.
That's for dang sure. I mean, but you said this is really early tech. I'm sure, y'all will probably prove it later on. So there's this one shot in the finale when the avatar comes out and the real person come out, and they come out at the same time, and they were similar to, like, the motion was similar. How was that done?
Okay, so it was done all the motion was pre-taped. So they're singing live.
Okay.
And by the way, I should preface it by saying everybody is singing live on the show.
Okay.
So going back to that motion capture volume we talked about, upstage center, the large space for the body.
Right.
We have another room that's outside of the studio or adjacent to the studio. That's a vocal booth. So it's a soundproofed room. That's where and you see clips of them. They
have like a dark. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're singing live. So it's not taped. They're literally singing live. That goes right to the engines, renders out them with the bot, and then you have a performer, an actual dancer that's upstage center that's actually doing the body. And we basically in real time, the body and the face get merged together, and then that goes into engine, camera tracking, lighting, all that stuff, composite on stage. And that's how this is. So that's basically in a nutshell how we did that. So now going back to the final performance, the elimination performance, well, obviously the person's no longer can be in the motion capture while they're performing. So that we basically tape them performing in the motion capture stage, the actual movement. So the motion captured body data, basically.
Okay.
Base data was basically just, they were doing it. We recorded the day before, just the data.
Okay.
And then live, we played, so instead of a live link that goes to engine, here's the file to play, basically. And then the avatar, but everything else after that is exactly the same. The lighting, avatar, all the rendering, camera tracking, it's all the live. It's all
right. It was just that one piece that I was like, okay, wait, what's going on here? They're moving it. They're doing the same thing. That's just I just had to thinking about that. I was like, how the heck did I do that one? So that was super freaking cool. And you said you used a live link, so iPhone phones, right?
No, Silver Spoon actually developed, I think, their own API or whatever you want to call it.
That's insane.
So there was another facial system that we used in development for proof of
Yeah.
concept that we actually ended up not using and
Okay.
switched over to the iPhone. And then Silver Spoon devised some kind of a system that makes it so
Okay.
you get basically 20 contestants and ROMing, the range of motion, all of that calibration. So that was how we did that.
So did you all document this show being made? Like this is history. Like this is it's like a blueprint, man. Like it really is the
Yeah.
blueprint. You know?
I think it is. I think that all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into this, the satisfaction of knowing that we did set a precedent. At least we set a pipeline to do a show.
Yeah,
proven we can do
clearly.
it. Um,
Yeah.
So there's no reason why this is by any means never to happen again. I think it's a success.
Oh
It's
yeah.
proven this is the future. Like I would
Yeah.
say, at least for Lulu AR and my company, this is probably the only thing we're probably going to end up doing is just live, avatars, singing shows, dancing shows, dating shows,
Yeah.
like any kind of show you can think of as an avatar. I'm hook, line, and sinker. I believe in this technology. I think
Right.
not thinking about this technology should have a good retirement plan now because this is where things are headed.
Yes.
I think that is, though I believe that Silver Spoon and I are the first to do a competition series in 3 weeks,
Yeah.
we're not going to be like, I would hope that there's a lot more other companies that are investing in this and doing it and
Yeah.
keep all of us in line and fresh and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I welcome it and I'm excited that this has been proven to actually work.
Yeah. No, clearly, and that's crazy. Because yeah, when I saw that, I mean, because Fox, right? They innovated with the first singing competition, as far as I know, like American Idol or something, and they just keep on going. So again, they got this first, and it's just, if you look at all the reality TV shows now and all the competitions now, the sky's the limit, man. You can
I think so too, because I think, obviously there's dozens of competition reality shows out there.
Yeah.
And they're all the same. You got judges to judge somebody, but
you know what I'm looking forward to though. My wife and I are like, we love watching RuPaul.
Yeah. That'll be a good one.
I'm just saying. I'm not giving you any ideas, but I would love to see that because that's so much fun. But
I think the format and the kind of shows you can do with this technology, the sky's the limit. And
yeah,
I think
it really is.
part of it. It's like, it's like how if you understand how like reality TV took off, like where that started. It started with Jerry Springer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it got to reality TV where we're at today. Like everything has a starting point. Like
Yeah.
I think that this is the starting of something.
Yeah.
And it's go and go and go.
Yeah, and I was having an argument, and I didn't even know I was having an argument with somebody, but it's just a lot of people are not seeing that per se. Like they just don't see this in the history books. This show was so important in the history. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the avatars can look better, but you're not getting the point. The point is they're doing this live, real time. It's a singing competition with live judges, live audiences on live TV.
Yeah.
Say that again, and that's why whenever some people, if I feel alone, is like, yeah, it looks like that, but you're not understanding everything that's working, and that's the very first time it was ever done before. So to me, it's like when I saw it, 2021, man. I grew up in the CG. I've seen it. I kind of see it grow, right? I watch all the movies when I was a kid, and compared to what we're doing now with this show, it's so fast. Like, what is going on? Like, technology took off.
It definitely took off. I think for going back to like what you grew up with, what you grew up with was not real time rendered.
Yeah. Those, and I think this is why so many people are switching to Unreal, is because nobody wants to wait 3 months to render something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, time is money, right?
Yeah.
So this real time, and I get asked that all the time. It's like, okay, what's the big deal? Why Unreal? Like, Maya's been doing that, 3ds Max been doing that forever, but it's the fact that they're rendering that real time, and you're watching that real time. That hair simulation, by the way, that's real time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it's interesting because you think about what the computer's doing in 2021, and just to even get what Alter Ego got is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, so whose computer was that? Was that like some space shuttle computer? Because that was the actual next question I was asking. Like, whose rig was that was able to take all that in? Like, was that a custom made computer?
They're all custom. Yeah, they're all Lulu AR engines. Basically, they're all custom
Sick.
made. They're basically custom made. PCs that are designed for this, for basically what we use with like Pixatope and all that. They're virtual, production
Wow.
engines. We had 12 of them on the show total. And yeah, I mean, if you really think about what that engine needs to do, it needs to take in lighting data, it needs to take in the avatar data, it needs to take in the motion capture data, both for the body and the face, and
Right.
the camera tracking data. And then it needs to take the video camera input. And then there's also, we have above the stage another camera that's just basically reflections. So it just takes reflections of the studios. That way, when an avatar has something reflective,
Yeah.
it's reflecting the actual environment. It's doing
There's a
all that.
secret. It's right on top.
Yeah. And then it's doing all that, then puts the shadow on the fucking floor and the reflection. And then somehow magically this thing's rendered in real time and the audience is looking at it and the judge is like,
Dude,
okay.
that is bananas. I'm surprised like that building didn't catch on fire.
What's funny is it's when you look at photographs from like the Apollo moon landing and those years, like it literally looked like that. And it's kind of funny because it is like this the late, the next gen technology and all this, like stuff that everybody says. But it was 200 amps of power just for the computers, which is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So you're kind of like, can you imagine what the next 50 years is going to look like? You know what I mean? Like you can do it on your iPhone. Like this is, and I'll be telling my kid, it was 200 amps.
And back in the day, we had like 12 computers.
Yeah, and it was like, it was a ton of weight. You know what I mean? It was like now so in a sense we are back. We are back in a sense in the 50s doing the moon landing. Because no one's done it before, and the computer quality, the computers could do it, but I've done, I'm very interested in the Apollo and the amount of computing power, and everybody use that analogy, which in your iPhone's 10 times more, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But the reality is that, in 50 years from now, 25 years from now, and by the way, it's going so fast, 5 years from now, it's going to be a lot different.
It is.
So the hardware is going to constantly change, and the software changes, and God bless Unreal and Epic Games for really making, virtual production a big priority for them, because that is what, obviously, none of this is possible without that. There's really no one else that can compete with that. Yeah. And, I think it's wonderful where things are going with it. It's kind of scary too, because sometimes you don't know what's real and what's not.
Yeah. And my kids are so lucky with Unreal being free. Like, it's just crazy, man, to think about it like that. I truly believe in a couple of years or so, we're gonna have so many Unreal Engine gurus and techies and experts, because you have free information, free software, and that is, to think about it like that, that's gonna be insane. Like it's gonna be crazy. There's
100%. It's going to be, especially for kids now who are learning, computers.
Yeah.
But also, in 2007, I also write computer software too. So I wrote 11 iPhone apps for Apple in 2007, before the App Store was. So they're all lighting apps. But I was surprised that they even let me submit the apps, because they only wanted 2,000 people, and I was like, I'm a niche stage lighting. They actually decided, go for it, because they wanted these niche things to happen.
Right.
So, with software, I learned how to write these iPhone apps from an 8-year-old and 11-year-old on YouTube. Like, there was no documentation out there.
Yeah.
So now imagine the kids right now at 5 and 6 are going to be like, here's how you write an iPhone app. So going back to like Unreal, virtual, when I was, a kid doing stage lighting, you actually, to develop a lighting design visually, you'd have to actually have a real light and a real stage to do it. Yeah. Now you can do it photometrically accurate in a 3D model. Like, that's what it's going to look like. Wow. And artistically express yourself through the computer. Yeah. Another reason to get into augmented reality and virtual production is that creatively you can do whatever the hell you want. Yeah. If I'm a production designer and I want to have a sign that flies in, and everyone's like, let's have a sign that flies in, like a marquee with bulbs flashing.
Right.
You go to a scene shop, it's going to be $55,000, and it's going to be another $20,000 to hang it with train motors and
yeah.
Oh my God, we don't like the sign that much. But
Yeah.
in reality, it's like, here's the sign. How bright do you want it?
Yeah.
It's liberating, like creatively, like what you can do.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful of that. You can't, you know what I mean? Obviously, it's still in a position where it has its own applications. So if you have a live audience needs to be engaged in your
Yeah.
show. You
Yeah.
can't just have a green screen and say hope for the best. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you got to give them something. So like
Yeah.
on Masked Singer, for example, on the old stage, we have on this season that's out now, we have a new stage. The old stage had a smaller LED screen. LED screen was like 15 feet tall,
Hmm.
45 feet wide. Very, you know, compared to the wide shot, it was a very small piece of the stage.
Right.
So we leveraged Unreal and augmented reality to basically make virtual screens to make it look like the screen's 65 feet tall and wraps around behind the masks, and the whole thing's like fully, you know, developed and like immersive and all that. So you know how to use it, because now the audience, well, in that case, by the way, we did have a COVID, so there was
Right.
no audience. But again, we would still use it now. You're still seeing what's on the LED screen. You're getting context. Oh, you're in a big building. You know,
Yeah.
the fact that you're adding 45 feet more to it and 100 feet around it it's not going to change the emotion of what the audience sees.
Yeah.
They get the narrative, they understand it. That
Yeah.
works. So you have to give them a little bit to be excited about, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then again, that goes then back to alter ego. So you have to do it live.
Yeah.
To get the audience engaged, the judges engaged, and you know, and all that.
So one of the things I really like about that show is, you know, a lot of people are afraid to like perform in front of a lot of people, you know.
Yeah,
And, some,
yeah.
and sometimes they said, hey, you know, you sing really well, but you don't look too good, and you know you're too big, and to me that's another layer of that, you know, like
Yeah.
you can perform, you know, like you can do this. This is your dream. Go follow it. You don't have to face a lot of people, and I mean, a lot of people don't understand that. Like me, I would never
Yeah.
be able to perform in front of people, but you know, with motion capture now in my DIY helmet here, I can, you know, do comedy or sing songs or dance. So I kind of understand the importance of that as well. You know, because there are a lot of artists out there who are very talented, but you know,
Yeah, and that's where I think our show hits the mark in terms of like, yeah, I would say out of the 20 contestants we had, any one of them could have won the show. Like the voice was
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
And but there are people that just like to sing.
yeah,
They
yeah, for sure.
But you know, in terms of dancing and choreography with that and counting music in terms of like, you know, making sure that the right spot on the stage and still keeping their voice
Right.
is tough for some people.
Yes.
Now, why? But why does that have to limit them as a creative or a talent because they can't dance? So what?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot. This country people don't dance. There's no reason that you have to say to have it all. You have to dance. You have to sing. You know what I mean? But no, you can just be. I just want to sing. You know what I mean?
And that's what I want. I wish it will continue on, because the talents that are gonna start showing up to these competitions, I can't even imagine. It could be the next big thing, you know, like, who is this? What? You know, so I'm excited for all those people to come out.
Yeah, and having now a season 1 under your belt, you know, now
congratulations, by the way.
We couldn't really tell, you know, we didn't tell the contestants like what the show was. Like
what?
Because we didn't, well, until later on, obviously they understood what was going on. But in terms of when we casted them, we did not say to them, we're doing the world's first, you know, Avatar singing competition show. Do you want to audition? Like, we're not going to go and let that out because we don't want people to know. It's a top secret thing.
Gotcha.
So we basically said, we're going to do something that is, you know, different. We were looking for people that have great voices. Do you have a great voice? I do. Okay, great. Come audition for our show. Then when we got very close to getting the stage loaded in and they started understanding, then we said, here's the surprise. You're going to be in motion body capture, singing live to an audience, and your avatar's going to be rendered on the stage. You know what I mean? So that's so now cat's out of the bag, dude. So now when we do a season 2, we're looking for talent.
Yeah.
You know, everybody and their mom's going to want to jump on the show because of the fact that they want an alter ego. They want to do this because it's fun, it's exciting, it's different. So that's going to be a great thing editorially for the show coming into a season 2.
Yeah.
And technology is obviously going to get better. We'll make the face better. We'll make the augmented reality and the camera tracking better. Like all that stuff's like
yeah. Those.
that stuff's gonna be fine.
Yeah, that's just the tech side of it. It's just a concept that I love. Everything else will get better, obviously, but that's crazy because to me, whenever I look for talent here, it's pretty nuts. I sound like a crazy madman. Hey, I need a dancer. You're gonna be wearing a mocap suit and a bike helmet. You want to
Yeah.
do it? And it's mostly like, sure, but I guess it's like the same thing with y'all. It's like they don't really know what to expect,
Yeah.
because it's such a
And
but
the contestants were fantastic. I mean,
yeah.
they were like they were not, they really fell in love with their alter egos, and they just loved being on. Like for them, it was like this is the coolest thing, like they've ever probably been on. Like for anybody, and the
Yeah.
same with our crew. Like our crew, in television, people think that like television, like series and like specials, is like as we live in Los Angeles, is like this big um, circle. It's
Yep.
not. It's actually there's only like 6 directors that work. There's only 6 lighting designers. There's 6 production designers. There's 6. That's it. It's a very small group of people. Believe it or not,
Right.
all these shows
Right.
around all the networks. Like that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
And everybody on the crew, and so it's hard to like make a crew be like, what the fuck? This is nuts, because they've seen it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And everybody, like from the staging supervisor to the riggers to the carpenters to the lighting, like everybody was like, this is so effing cool.
Yeah.
And just like embraced it. So we're all like, everyone was rooting for the show because it's never been done before, and everyone's just tired of producing the same television show. Let's do something different.
Yeah. No.
Let's take some chances. Let's take some risk, and all play together and see what happens.
Yeah, to me, that thing it paid off. I freaking enjoyed it.
Do. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I know the network is thrilled with it. We're already talking season 2, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's way too. No one announces a season 2 while a season 1 is running.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that. But yeah, we'll definitely do a season 2. There's no reason not to do a season 2, and we have other ideas as well that we're pursuing for this kind of technology as well. But yeah, everybody's excited actually about the season 2 because everybody wants to actually do it again based on stuff we learned from season 1. So I just think this is the time now. I think the pandemic kind of pushed everybody to the virtual production and skyrocketed. So I think that what we had last year is considerably better than we had, is now better. Next year it's gonna be better. And so it's like, it's not even exponential. It's like 10 times exponential. Like it's now.
Yeah.
And how do you keep up with that? Because here's the cool thing about virtual production. It goes back to sound. When you, before Pro Tools and all that, you had to rent a studio for a couple $100 to $1,000 a day to record your demo. Well, no one does that anymore because you can do it at home.
At home, yeah.
If you want to be a filmmaker, you got to buy film stock. You got to get developed and give it to your friends. And now everyone's got a video camera, and you got Final Cut Pro, and everyone's a director.
Yeah.
Now with Unreal, you know what I mean, and the facial motion capture, and obviously there's some other attainable body motion capture systems. Everybody can an avatar now. Like there's no reason why anybody, like all this tech is something that you can have now.
Yeah.
Now granted, there was the Vicon system was is very expensive. We used Red Spy from Spike, which is the camera tracking system. These are very expensive things, but there's alternate versions that are considerably cheaper. That anybody can like literally make their own virtual, paint your room green, and you can literally for like $5,000 make your own virtual set and camera tracking and everything. Like there's no reason not to.
Yeah, it's super fun too, and it's one of those things in Unreal that I'm actually able to tell stories I was able to do before. So it's pretty cool, and I love it, and it's free. It's absolutely free. So is that the only show you got this year? You're done taking a break?
We have 2 game shows that we're doing right now, and then the rest of the year I'm taking a break. We're actually in we did a lot of shows January basically all the way to August. So it's been nuts. And like literally I was designing Masked Singer while at the same time producing Alter Ego.
Wow.
I would drive back and forth, but that was crazy. So I am developing Lulu AR into now really what I want to come to be, which is going to be avatars. Like to me, that is the future. So I'm going to spend between now and December we're building that company up right now. We're getting a studio and start really just like, all right, what do you guys do? We do avatars. Do you guys do AR? No, we do avatars. Do you guys do virtual production? No, we just do avatars. Like that's like that's literally all we do. You want an avatar show? You call us, we do it. Like, and
That's awesome. Y'all are definitely the blueprint. I can't wait what's next. But hey, you have a good weekend and safe weekend. It's a holiday Monday, so have a good holidays. And again, thank you for letting me interview you.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. I'm excited.